Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. I want to talk to you about two goals that you must have in mind and focused on through your process with the VA. Now, before I jump into it, I want to throw on a quick thanks to Kenneth Smith. Thank you for that super thanks comment thing. I really appreciate it. Really does help the channel, and I really do appreciate that support. Thank you so much, Kenneth Smith. All right. So these two goals must be in your mind as you are going through the process with the VA for any sort of claim that you're doing, whether you are, I guess, two on one side and one on the other side, but it might not be the one that you're thinking of. Who knows? We'll figure it out. All right, so with that, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it so very much. The two asks: hit the thumbs up, let the video run. That helps push this into the hands of others. And next is, if you want to be a member, you can do that by going to the homepage. You will see tabs there. It says like videos, shorts, lives. There's one that says members. You should be able to hit the join button in there and become a member. Thank you so much to all you members. I do my best to get back to you in the comments. All right, so let's jump into this. The two goals and why these goals are even goals that you need to be focused on is because many of us, especially at the very beginning, if you're filing your first claim with the VA, sometimes we, veterans, don't really understand what the VA's role is in that process. And we might hear things like a duty to assist and that type of stuff. Do not rely, in my opinion, too heavily on the VA to do much for you. You can do everything yourself and make sure that you have everything taken care of. And don't be confused, because even though the VA has a vast medical facility, right, that's national, right, facilities that are strewn across the nation, they are not going to really diagnose you for things that you're trying to get service connected for. Okay, you need to do that up front yourself. Get diagnosed for the condition. The VA is not typically, there could be an exception out there, but typically they're not going to say, "Oh, you think you have X condition? Oh, well, let's send you over to our VA medical facility and we'll have you tested for all of that, and then we'll decide whether or not you have it. And if you do, then we'll push you." No, they don't do that. You need to provide them evidence. Now, the first thing you need to think about is the VA is a three-headed monster, right? You have the Veterans Benefits Administration. That's where you're going to file your claim for your VA compensation, disability compensation, VA pensions, dependency indemnity compensation, your educational benefits, your home loan stuff, veterans readiness and employment. All that stuff's in the Benefits Administration. Then you have the Healthcare Administration. Yes, healthcare. So that's going to be your medical facilities, your clinics, your vet centers, all of that stuff is in there. Then you have the Cemeteries Administration. Okay, so those are the three components of the VA. When you're filing your claim, you're filing with benefits, not the Healthcare Administration. All right, you're filing with the Benefits Administration. It's a different beast. So when you're going through that process, you need to be very clear with yourself what you're trying to accomplish. What are you trying to accomplish? Most people go, "I'm trying to get service connected for X." Cool. That's great. You need to think a little further than that and think about the how am I going to get service connected for X, and what is the VA looking for to approve my service connection for X, right? And what can I do to supply the VA with the information they need to clearly go, "Yes, you're service connected for X." Okay. The other goal is, just wondering if everybody knows because I've talked about it before, and I can't hear you anyway. So anyway, the second goal is getting rated at the appropriate level. It really sucks to spend all this time going through the claims process, getting all of your evidence together, and then getting a low rating, okay, when it can be avoided. I'm telling you. So those are the things that we're talking about. Service connection and the appropriate rating. Those are the two goals that you want to be looking at. So let's jump into that. Number one, service connection. Then I'm going to get into the appropriate rating. So service connection is pretty simple. I'm going to exclude from this conversation presumptive conditions because presumptive conditions eliminate the hardest part of becoming service connected. So it's simply if you served in X location during X time frame and you have a condition that's listed on the presumptive conditions list for that specific area that you served, that's it. It's pretty easy. So we're going to focus on your standard service connection, and I'm going to give a couple examples and we'll get through that. So service connection, what the VA wants to see from you, okay? What they want to see from you, what you should supply with, or what you should supply to the VA, right? With your claim. Number one, throw in an intent to file, buy yourself some time, okay? The intent to file buys you 12 months to get your act together and get your claim filed, and they'll preserve that as your effective date, the filing date of your intent to file in most cases. All right, so now here you are. You need to prove to the VA that you're a veteran, right? That you've served whatever. Typically, you're going to give them your DD-214 or DD-214s, right? Maybe you have multiple. And that is going to give what I call a window of opportunity. Remember, I'm excluding presumptives. So it gives you your window of opportunity. Entry date, exit date. There you go. Now you need a diagnosed condition. So you've proved you're a veteran and you've given the VA a time frame to look at because your VA benefits are really hinged on your time in service in a way. So the second thing that you need to show them is your diagnosis, right? You need to prove that you have a condition. You can't just say it. You saying it doesn't mean anything. You need to go to a doctor, have them diagnose you for whatever it is. Whether it's something that you never knew you had or something that is obvious. Like, I know I have migraines. I don't need to go to a doctor to find out if I have migraines. I know I do. Doesn't matter if you know you do. You need to go to the doctor, right? I'm not going to beat that dead horse much more. Go to the doctor, get your diagnosis. Your diagnosed condition must be a condition that's chronic in nature, meaning an ongoing problem, right? My migraines show up every month, every couple weeks. They go on, go on, go on. They've been happening ever since I was in service. And it's just part of my life now, right? So that's chronic. Or has some sort of residual effects, right? So your condition either chronic or has some sort of residual effects, meaning that it's an ongoing problem. I hurt my elbow and now I can't extend it any further than that. So I have a range of motion issue. So there I am with my ongoing issue, right? My problem is kind of stuck with me, right? So your condition chronic in nature or has residual effects. So that's your second spot is that diagnosis. So now you've proven that you're a veteran and you've proven that you have a window of opportunity of your time in service and you have a diagnosed condition. So now the third thing that they want to see to give you service connection for that diagnosed condition is they want to see a nexus. Not a nexus letter, okay? They want to see a nexus. What they mean is prove to us, the VA, that your condition manifested during your time in service, that window of opportunity, or is a result of your time in service in some way, shape, form, whatever. That's what they want to see. Now, one thing is you can, the best situation for you is if you got diagnosed while you were in service. Because you've proven that you're a veteran. Here's your time frame of service, your window of opportunity. Bam, you've given them your diagnosis of your condition that was 6 months before you got out. The date alone provides the nexus. Look, I got diagnosed while I was in. That satisfies the nexus. Now, I get it. Most of us never do that. Most of us get out and move on with life, and it's not till a few years later that we try to go down that road. Now, let's say that you do have migraines. Let's say that your job was I don't know, artillery or mortars, right? Or let's say that you were a fueler or worked on the fuel systems for aircraft or whatever, right? So you're sniffing, fuel all the time, or you're having loud noises, just constantly rattling your head. Just a couple examples, right? So let's say that was your job. You might be able to go to your doctor 5 years later, 10 years, 30 years later, whatever it is, and say, you know what, I have migraines and I want to see if I can get anything for that. Now you have your diagnosis outside of your time frame window, right? Your window of opportunity, your diagnosis is over here. You have to build a bridge back to that time in service. So in that conversation with your doctor's going to say, well, how long have you been having migraines? And you're going to say, well, ever since I was back in whatever branch, right? During this year about, right? You want to make sure that it's in your time frame. You want to make sure you give an accurate date or a year. If you know that you were in all of 1970 because you went in 69 and you got out in 73, well, then 71 is a great year, right? So having that conversation with your doctor and then asking your doctor for a Nexus letter. The Nexus letter is to help you provide the proof needed for the Nexus. Okay, it's a tool. It's not always needed. It's only needed if you're trying to establish a Nexus. So the Nexus letter from your doctor, basically the doctor attesting to their knowledge and treatment of you for that condition and why they believe that your condition is more than likely, ideally, it can be at least as likely as not a result from your service, right? With all their rationale. And it could be, again, in this example, your AFSC or your MOS, your job in the military could have been the conduit to your migraines. So they would write that letter. You could also reach out to people that you served with and see if they could write a letter for you attesting to knowing of your migraines. Family members that obviously knew you before and during and after could write letters attesting to their knowledge as well. It's a lay evidence and it's all helpful. So definitely build that up because again, you're trying to build that bridge back to your time in service. Now, what I suggest folks to do in these situations where they know, I never got diagnosed while I was in, is still thumb through your military service treatment records. If you do not have them, order them. SF180 is the form, standard form 180, and order your records. Thumb through them because you may have self-attested to certain conditions or talked about certain symptoms of a condition that you have today, and you can use that to help create that nexus. Sure, I didn't get diagnosed when I was in, but I complained about the same symptoms here, or I checked a box that said that I've been experiencing migraines, right? Whatever it is, that helps you, and I would feel very confident with a service connection, especially if you had something annotated in your service treatment records that you can lean on for the nexus. Even if the VA gets it wrong, the board would probably rule in your favor with that. I mean, it's a pretty easy thing to see. So that is working on getting that service connection piece, that first goal. The second goal, right, is the appropriate rating. What happens way more than you would possibly think is we get so excited I'm ready to file my claim. I've been thinking about doing this for however long. I'm finally doing it. I'm ready to file it now. Yesterday, I'm ready. I have enough information. It's good enough. File it. Do not, no matter how tempted you are, do not rush the filing of your claim. You're better off to have a little more evidence on your side and spend an extra few weeks getting things together than just rushing it in to get it in. Having that intent to file in place will help preserve your effective date for back pay and all that. So don't rush it. What I suggest you do, and for some weird reason, it's disappeared off of the VA's website, and I did a video on this, and I'm probably going to do another one, but the schedule of ratings for your condition. Now, they live on the E, like Echo, ECFR, Code of Federal Regulations, ECFR, and you can pull it up online and find your condition. It's a little bit cumbersome, I get it. The attorney firms out there also have a lot of this stuff ripped off of the CFR and put onto their websites to share information to get people to go to their websites. So you could potentially Google search your condition, VA rating schedule, and the VA's website might pop up with some things, the CFR might pop up with some things, and these attorney firms may pop up with that information on their website to share with you as well. I would think, just guessing, that their information, if they're reputable and big law firms, that it would probably be accurate and up to date. My suggestion is always go straight to the horse's mouth, either the VA or the CFR, because that will be updated. So go on there and find your condition and read the criteria that's required for your specific condition. I'm diagnosed with X. Then find that area and read the criteria for each rating. Okay? In some cases, there's only one rating for your condition. In other cases, there might be 4 or 5 different ratings that are associated. It could be a 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, 100, right? They're all over the board. So read each rating criteria, right? Do I meet it for the 0%? Yes. Do I meet it for the 10%? Yes. Do I meet it for the 30? Yes. Do I meet it for the 50? Yes. Right? Do I meet it for the 70? No. Okay, I know that I should be rated at 50%. Now, you might not be able to figure this out on all of them, on all of your conditions, right? But you can figure it out for some. Hiatal hernia, for migraines, that type of stuff. You should be able to read through it and know I am that person. So read through it, understand which criteria you fall into, what rating that should be. Now you know I should be rated that amount, and this is the criteria needed, and I know that I meet it all. Go back to your doctor with that information and have them embed that into your medical notes so you can get that as evidence back from them in their notes. You can ask for them to put that onto a letter, right? Whether you need a Nexus letter or not, if you need a Nexus letter, have them add that into the Nexus letter. If you do not need a Nexus letter because your condition is showing up, for example, you got diagnosed while you were in service for your condition, well, then still work with your current doctor to really spell out the criteria that you qualify for that rating with in a letter. Hey, this letter's from Dr. So-and-so, veteran so-and-so has been my patient since whenever and been treating them for this condition and since this time frame. These are the signs and symptoms that they experience. And, should you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Signed, Dr. Shenanigans. And now you have all of that spelled out really nicely from your medical provider for the rater at the VA to look at and go, oh, you meet the exact criteria. That's one level of this. You can also go and get a disability forward-facing, public-facing disability questionnaire and have that completed by your doctor, inserting that same verbiage, right? It's the same thing. I mean, you could go overkill if you want. Getting a letter saying that's fine. Having the DBQ completed is fine. Doing both is fine if you're utilizing the schedule of ratings criteria that you qualify for to have that information verbatim, essentially, put into there so that way they have the right words to make the appropriate rating decision for you. So now you've covered all your bases and you filed your claim. The VA may say, hey, we have enough information. You don't even need to do a C&P exam. We're going to do ACE for you and just push you through. Awesome. You've done your job to document everything and you should be good to go. If they still do a C&P exam for you, well, now you're armed with all the information. There is nothing that's going to throw a curveball to you. You know your condition, you know your rating schedule, you know what you should be rated for, you know the verbiage criteria needed for that rating. So print that out, take it with you, and you could read it from the piece of paper if they're asking you questions, or refer to your piece of paper to be able to answer those questions. If you feel kind of odd doing that, then as soon as you get in there and they, say, how you doing? Have a seat. Thanks. I just want to let you know I brought some notes so I don't miss anything. This is really important to me. And that's fine. Kind of takes that weird pressure off if you feel weird pulling out a piece of paper, right? Everybody's different. Some people are like, I don't care. I'll do what I want. But others, maybe you're just a little bit worried. So just say it, right? It's not a big deal. This is a very important time for you, and you want to make sure you get it done right. So, with that, I hope this helps with those two goals, keeping those two things in mind, getting service connected and how to do that, and getting that appropriate rating, right? Being armed with the information from the schedule of ratings that the VA is going to rate you against for that condition, finding out where you fall on it, making sure that that's implemented into your treatment records with your doctor so you can print that out and then give that as evidence. Get a letter from your doctor with that information on there, on that letter. Getting it put into a DBQ, getting it added on the Nexus letter if you're getting a Nexus letter. All of those things are really important. And then when you're in there with your CMP examiner, sharing that information directly from the schedule of ratings as it relates to you and in your treatment with your doctor is a very important aspect to help get you not only service connected, but at the appropriate rating. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.